You're welcome.
$5.
Yummy. Is it good?
Put me in there.
Discovery Center, what's that? All this stuff wasn't here when we were here last, was it?
Nope. Well,
I think they were building it. Photography contest, what? We should do it. Oh, let's go in there. I think this was in here last time.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Captain.
Oh, he's up there. Can't see him good.
it's a man.
He's,
snake.
yeah, he's up in there. It's all curled up.
Floral. Red touch yellow. Is that what it says? Yeah.
There's too much of a glare.
Thank you, Oscar.
Thank you, have a great day.
You too.
He's ready for his close-up.
Looks like bass, brim, and gore right up the stream here.
I got it. Okay, what are you talking?
Good afternoon.
Good
My
afternoon.
name is Oscar. Go look around. Any questions?
Easy on me.
Fishes, movies, they ready.
Got a gift shop. Gotta go in there for sure.
Better get a couple cold waters for us.
All right, no problem.
You sure I can't get one of those GPS drinks? Okay. Huh? Okay. Oh, you did? Anything else you need?
cafe.
The only thing is, the Cheesecake Factory really isn't known for cheesecakes. I mean,
Your ride, Chief Niamakwa.
Yeah, come on back. Just grab the last seat that is available. Every seat in the house is the best seat in the house. But unfortunately, if you decide to stop it halfway through, there's a good chance somebody might decide to walk all over you.
Yeah.
My name is Vince, and I'll be your captain today. Can everybody hear me all right? Wonderful. I do have a couple little safety items I would like to go over real quick. First of which would be our life jackets, and you will find those conveniently stowed overhead. Now, if you don't mind, folks, for the duration of our journey today, I would just as soon leave those up there, seeing as how in over 100 years of glass bottom boat rides on the Silver River, we have not needed them. So I, for one, don't know if I would trust them. But of course, if you want to break that 100-year-old tradition today, as well as your poor captain's heart, I'm not going to stop you. Matter of fact, I'm still going to tell you how to use those things. You're going to want to take a life jacket down, stick your head through the hole, take the strap loose, wrap it around you, and hook it in. Now, I do have a radio here that keeps me in constant contact with the boat dock when need be. And if anybody happens to feel ill, have emergency services there within 15 minutes, and we'll spin this boat around and head on back that way ourselves. But just to be clear about something, folks, seasickness is not a reason to spin this boat around. If you start feeling uneasy and queasy, I want you to spin yourself around, aim through the windows, and chum for distance. The fish absolutely love it, and the rest of us will get an extra show. Of course, all this beautiful water you see below us, folks, is provided by our amazing spring shed at roughly 800 vents at 99.81% pure and at 72 degrees Fahrenheit year-round. Our first spring is below us now, ladies and gentlemen. This is the spring of the stars. You're looking for that dark gray rock down there that's at the bottom of this white sand run, and just underneath that little ledge there. Now, this spring is named in dedication to all the great legends on film and television who have worked here on the Silver River, guys. Such greats as Jane Russell, Burt Reynolds, Jerry Lewis, and Johnny Weissmuller, just to name a few. Now, just to make sure everybody has seen that gray rock down there, right?
Oh, yeah.
All right, good, because that thing is 26 feet deep right there, guys. Of course, that's exactly why filmmakers have always loved working here on the Silver Springs, because clarity like this and that kind of depth makes it very easy for them to pull off those amazing camera shots where you think your favorite actors and actresses are in grave peril hundreds of feet beneath the surface, when in reality they're just a few swift kicks away from a fresh breath of air. And of course, speaking of actors and actresses in grave peril beneath the surface, guys, I'm sure this next spring is no stranger to that. Because starting back in 1954, this spring began its free film run as the lair for the creature from the Black Lagoon. Now, what you're looking for here, folks, is that little cavern below us now that is situated at 34 feet deep. Now, this spring is not the only great Floridian that happened to appear in all three of those films, guys. Also, the late, great Mr. Rico Browning, who played the Gill Man. Now, if you're not familiar with Rico and his time of being a silver screen legend, perhaps you might be familiar with some of his other work. Because in the early 80s, he happened to create this lovely little television show about a pair of teenage boys and their pet dolphin. flipper. Of course, right down here is where he got his big break, ladies and gentlemen, and he landed the role of the Gillman based off of two very simple factors. Number one, he could fit the costume that was already created for the film. But secondly, and something more unique to Rico that made the Gillman much more convincingly terrifying, he was also capable of an over 4-minute breath hold dive. So that meant he could receive his directions on his costume, dive down into that cavern at 34 feet deep, and calmly and effortlessly await his cue to come out and scare the yell out of you. Now guys, this next spring that I'd like to show you is a rather new spring in our system. It's only been around for about 2 years now. And it formed because one of our older springs suffered a catastrophic collapse during a hurricane a few years back. Of course, that water had to find somewhere to come out at anyway, so it wiggled around in the limestone for a couple 100 yards. And discovered this lovely little spot right here, ladies and gentlemen. We call this the Popcorn Springs.
Yeah, shit coming out with the sand, bubbling up in the dirt.
Everybody get a good look at that spring right there, guys. So, folks, if I could, I would like to get your attention onto this little island off to the left here. This is our bird island. And if you look up into the trees right now, you'll see many of our local diver birds have been in their nesting phase for a moment already. Those are our cormorants and our anhingas, folks. Both of those birds have a very unique ability. They have little oil glands in their feathers, so it allows them to dive as deep as they would like. And they have been logged at over 6. But of course, the one thing that they must do after they are done swimming is find themselves a low-lying perch to dry off on. Otherwise, they cannot fly very effectively. And now, folks, this next set of springs that I'd like to show you. And yes, I did say set because there are over 28 different vents in this flat that we're about to start going over. This is the springs of life. And what you want to look for here is all those little white sand patches down there, guys. And watch a few of them real closely because you may see them appear to be boiling over. Well, folks, that's not a change in temperature. It's still only 72 degrees. That's a change in pressure. Because this spring system right here is only an 8th magnitude, which makes it the lowest that it can be and still be considered a spring. Of course, while we're drifting around through here, you guys may notice something below us there that looks a lot like a dinosaur's back sticking up out of the seafloor. Well, we had the University of Florida come in here and check that out, folks. And after all of their extensive research, they deemed that, in fact, what you are looking at right now is indeed none other than good old-fashioned rock. But, you see the big piece of wood laying down there beside that unique shaped rock, guys? Well, that is no ordinary piece of wood. That is the remnants of a 500 to 600-year-old Timaquan dugout canoe. And now, of course, when the university realized that that's what we had there, they wanted to go and stick that thing in a museum up in Gainesville. Unfortunately, during all of the meetings concerning this stuff, somebody kept on pointing out how this natural display case has done a perfectly fine job for the past 500 years. They need to just bring it on back home. And as you can see, they did. And once they laid it to rest, they sat it down within 1/8 of an inch of where they originally excavated it from. Now, guys, if I can get your attention on this little grass flat off to the right here. You can pick up in front of the boat or back here at the back of the boat. We got a couple little swamp puppies hanging out over here today. 27 different species of fish that live along the Silver River here that we're aware of. 7 different types of bass, 2 different types of gar, bluegill, red ear sunfish, blue channel catfish, the bowfin, or the mudfish if you prefer that name. And we also have a few very unique invasive species. One would be the Plecostomus, or the armored catfish. And of course, looking for that one out here, you're not looking for that little sucker on the side of the aquarium, guys. You're looking for a big sucker because he's not stuck in an aquarium. Those fish get up well over 2.5 feet long in the wild. And then, of course, we have those light blue colored fish. You may have seen a few of them already with big bulging eyes and puffy lips. That's the blue tilapia. And one of my favorites, and you don't even have to look below the boat to find these ones, guys. Matter of fact, I try to make sure we never have to look below the boat to find them. Look out around us, it's called the topwater paddlefish. I just love watching them in their natural environment, ladies and gentlemen. It's a very unique creature. Of course, folks, now one of my favorite springs in the entire system is starting to come into view now. Historically, this spring has been declared a first magnitude, which means it's been responsible for over 80 million gallons of water a day. And coming in at 36 feet deep, guys, this right here is the Blue Grotto. And of course, one of the most stunning things I find about this spring right here on a nice sunny day, you see how that white sand run as it gets closer down to the main vent. Looks like it turns a silvery blue. Well, folks, the sand did not change at all. What changed is the light the color spectrum in the light that's able to reflect back up to us at 36 feet deep. And there's quite a few that believe that this effect right here is exactly how the Native Americans in the area came about naming this the Silver River. Now, guys, over the years, a number of wonderful television shows have had scenes shot right here on the Silver River. Probably none better known for that than that legendary show, Sea Hunt with Lloyd Bridges. Anybody else here familiar with that show? All right. Over 155 episodes have featured scenes shot right here. Probably the most recognizable would be these docks that are coming up in front of us in just a moment. And now, for everybody who's not familiar with that legendary show, I'm sorry. But guys, that's what YouTube is for, and I strongly recommend using it in this case because that is some binge-worthy television. But of course, there is one other opportunity that you may have seen those docs on the screen. Because in the late 80s, Jackie Gleason and Jerry Reed happened to soak everybody standing on those docks while they were filming that infamous boat chase scene in Smokey and the Bandit 3. Smokey is the bandit. And there's quite a few times I wonder if that's the whole reason they enacted all these idle zones around here, guys, worried that diehard fans like myself would try to repeat that epic stunt. And, well, they're right, I definitely would. I guess in Silver Springs must have been really popular for some amazing movies during the 80s, though, because this next spring, back in 1985, was used as a setting in a rather legendary production. Starring a young, unknown actor at the time, and he was seen jumping off of a giant cliff into a gorgeous, crystal clear lagoon. Well, now that film, ladies and gentlemen, was legend. That unknown young actor, he went on to become somewhat legendary himself. You may have heard of him by now. Mr. Tom Cruise. And now, thanks to the brilliance of movie magic, I cannot show you that cliff today. But that crystal clear lagoon is revealing itself below you now, folks, because it is the Cypress Spring. And what you're looking for is that little cypress stump right there sitting over the top of the main vent. And now while you're looking down there, folks, if you are getting a little bit concerned for Tom's safety on the day of filming, please don't be. Believe it or not, this spring is well over 26 feet deep. And on the day of shooting, guys, he wasn't jumping off of no cliff. You don't see one around us, do you? Yeah, he was just jumping off the bow of a boat, folks. Now, this spring does get its name, not from that stump we just drifted over, but from this tree that we're drifting over right now. This cypress tree is believed to have been here for over 300 years, guys. And it should be here for quite some time to come because the Seminole were right. Cypress is very well the eternal wood. Those trees produce a chemical compound that makes them rot and termite resistant. And now since we've drifted over that tree, maybe you guys have seen that little boat down there. Y'all notice that thing? There you go, for everybody that didn't, let me spin the boat around one more time. There we go.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Now, of course, guys, there are those that would say that that is the boat Tom was jumping off of that day. I'm not one of the ones who say it, because I happen to know what that boat is. That boat is a second-generation glass-bottom boat from right here on the Silver Springs, guys. That boat was in service from the 1890s until the 1910s. And then in the 1940s, it was officially retired, and they sank it right here on purpose to give all of us a lovely little window into the past, because that boat does look very similar to the original boats from 1878. And at that time, it was just a couple teenage boys living along the river here had a wild idea. They cut a 4-inch by 3-foot hole out of the bottom of their John boats and then glued in a pane of glass using nothing but pine tar. And then started charging people a nickel a ride to come out and see the springs. Effectively starting the oldest running tourist attraction in the state. That means we've been around here longer than that fella down south for the big years. Of course, what I've always thought to be the coolest thing about that whole story, right, that 12-year-old and that 14-year-old, Can you imagine what in the world they were hearing when they told their friends and their family they were going to go cutting holes in the bottom of their boat to try to make money? You know, full well, they were called quite a few things, and I'm sure one of them was crazy. I'm just happy those boys were crazy enough to see that idea through, because they actually invented the first ever glass bottom boats in the world, guys. If anybody would like some little turtles, right over here on the lucky log, there's a couple little turtles.
There are a lot of areas down there.
Of course, seeing those little turtles over there, guys, does bring a little bit of trivia to mind for me. Anybody happen to know what you call them? All full of turtles? We're going on to Silver Springs, we call that a shell station. Hey, I'm hoping Miss Chelsea or Miss Caitlin did warn y'all that I've got jokes. I'm sure they forgot to tell you, though, that none of them are good. As a matter of fact, they're all bad. And you know how a dad joke becomes a dad joke, right? When it becomes apparent. Yes, I know. Thank you. Thank you. I'll be here all week. Mainly because nobody else will help me. And now for a little bit of actual trivia, can anybody tell me what we happen to call all this lovely gray stuff hanging on the trees around here? Spanish moss. I knew I was going to hear the right answer at some point. That's exactly what we call it, Spanish moss. But did you know, though, that it is not Spanish, nor is it a moss? It's actually native to the southeastern coastal region of the U.S. exclusively. Matter of fact, if you find it anywhere else in the world, that means somebody did not listen when we told them, don't put that stuff in your suitcase and take it home. But they found out the real reason for that later. But it's also an air plant, a bromeliad. Believe it or not, its closest kin is the pineapple. And if you'll ever take and squish it in your hand and rub it and then give it a smell, you'll see exactly that it is true. But the other really cool thing is it's also got its own page in history recorded already, guys. It's responsible for the first ever American automobile recall. Henry Ford was using it as batting inside the seats of the Model T. Not realizing that it's home to those lovely little red bugs. You're familiar with chiggers, right? Yeah. So, of course, needless to say, as soon as weather broke, all of Henry's happy customers wound up with a bad case of the itchy hiney. And, folks, if you've ever heard that age-old phrase of itching for a Ford, originally, that was a slander campaign started out by the other guys. Now, guys, I know it looks like we are nearing the end, but truly, this is just the beginning of the Silver River. As we make our way into this cove off to the right here, I want to show you a spring that's so amazing, so magnificent, so gigantic. But the only name we could give this spring is the Mammoth Spring. Now, looking into the main glass here, everybody on the right side of the boat, you're going to see this big, beautiful basin open up. Everybody on the left, you're going to see this ledge up here underneath everybody on the right. Well, guys, we're going to follow that ledge to the other end, and then I'm going to spin the view on all of you because that ledge is the top of the Mammoth Spring. It's over 135 feet long. And it's over 5 feet high, resting on a seafloor that's over 35 feet deep. And this spring is responsible for over 2/3 of all the water that runs down the river on a daily basis. roughly 550 million gallons a day, folks, making this one of the world's largest artesian springs. And to give you an idea of how much water you do not see rushing past you right now, you can fill an Olympic-sized swimming pool in under 4 minutes from this one spring.
It's coming out right down there.
Matter of fact, the docks it's off to the right here, guys, I hope y'all recognize those because they're the ones we started off on. Although I do hope you don't think you recognize any of this water. Because the water you met when you boarded my boat earlier is already over half an hour downstream. Every bit of what you can see right here is fully replaced with brand new water within 28 minutes. Now guys, back in the day, ABC had an owned property here, and I'm not referring to the package store. And these guys happen to make some rather amazing television during their time here, and one such show was called I Spy, starring Robert Culp and Bill Cosby, started back in 1967. And then in 1969, they went and decided to shoot a couple episodes here when they thought they had discovered the lost city of Atlantis. And a couple of cast members are still here with us today. Mainly these 3 statues that are coming into view underneath the right of the boat, guys. That is Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades. You guys don't have to lean over the rail like that. I'm going to spin this thing around. Oh yeah, I'm spinning it. I told you every seat in the house is the best seat. I'm going to show you. Left these 3 behind as a thank you to the locals for all the wonderful years of working here.
Right here, but coming to you.
Unfortunately, they should be around for quite some time to come because they're made out of this amazing ancient building material that makes them surprisingly durable yet lightweight. It's called fiberglass. Just unfortunately, algae really loves growing on these guys, and since we're not allowed to swim here anymore, we did have to find a specialized crew to come in here and get them cleaned up. And once a month, this amazing crew comes in. Folks, we call them the mermaids. Hey, I told you, terrible jokes were coming, guys. Everybody get a good look at the statues? Would anybody like a closer view? Okay. Well, if you change your mind, after we get back to the docks, make your way across the way to our Discovery Center where you will find 2 of the other statues on display. as well as one of the original costumes from the creature from the Black Lagoon. But of course, wait, folks, there's more. Because if you go over to the Discovery Center today, you will find yourself in the company of the legendary Captain Oscar. And if you really want to know more about the amazing history of this gorgeous place, that man would be your most precious resource. He's been running the Glass Bottom Boat Tours here for over 55 years now.
Look at that big old turtle. Big old social.
Sweetness.
If you do wander over there, guys, please tell Captain Oscar that Captain Vince says hello. I haven't had a chance to see him much today. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, I've had a wonderful cruise with you, and I hope you feel the same way too. And folks, gratuities are accepted and appreciated. And if you'd like to participate in over 125-year-old tradition, the glass that you've been viewing through this entire time is just a very clever disguise for the world's largest tip jar. But as we make our way to the dock, folks, I'd like to ask you all to please brace yourselves. We call this part of the trip crash and bang. So please just keep your seats and keep your hands and feet inside the ride at all times. Let myself and my amazing dock hands get us all squared up and tied off. And then once, there'll be a little bump here on the left.
Fuck that boat.
Left these three behind as a thank you to the locals for all the wonderful years of working here.
Right here, about coming to you.
Unfortunately, they should be around for quite some time to come because they're made out of this amazing ancient building material that makes them surprisingly durable yet lightweight. It's called fiberglass. Just unfortunately, algae really loves growing on these guys, and since we're not allowed to swim here anymore, we did have to find a specialized crew to come in here and get them cleaned up. And once a month, this amazing crew comes in. Folks, we call them the mermaids. Hey, I told you, terrible jokes were coming, guys. Everybody get a good look at the statues? Would anybody like a closer view? Oh, okay. Well, if you change your mind, after we get back to the docks, make your way across the way to our Discovery Center where you will find two of the other statues on display, as well as one of the original costumes from the creature from the Black Lagoon. But of course, wait, folks, there's more. Because if you go over to the Discovery Center today, you will find yourself in the company of the legendary Captain Oscar. And if you really want to know more about the amazing history of this gorgeous place, that man would be your most precious resource. He's been running the Glass Bottom Boat Tours here for over 55 years now.
Look at that big old turtle. Big old social.
Sweetness.
If you do wander over there, guys, please tell Captain Oscar that Captain Vince says hello. I haven't had a chance to see him much today. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, I've had a wonderful cruise with you, and I hope you feel the same way too. And folks, gratuities are accepted and appreciated. And if you'd like to participate in over 125-year-old tradition, the glass that you've been viewing through this entire time is just a very clever disguise for the world's largest tip jar. But as we make our way to the dock, folks, I'd like to ask you all to please brace yourselves. We call this part of the trip crash and bang. So please just keep your seats and keep your hands and feet inside the ride at all times. Let myself and my amazing dock hands get us all squared up and tied off.
Fish it back. Must be a family. Stick together. That big one behind. Holy cow.